Welcome back, everyone, to Vox Markets. My name is Paul Hill, and I'm delighted again to be able to speak to Exec Chairman Patrick Desouza of Water Intelligence and CEO Will Knell of American Leak Detection, a one-stop shop for all things sort of water leak detection, repair, and preventative maintenance. So, welcome, gents.
Well, hello, and great to see you again, Paul.
Yeah, no, well, big congrats on last week's positive and in-line trading update for the period ending April 2025, with sales and EBITDA rising 8% and 13% respectively. We've always sort of run through the details and the sort of the performance there, Patrick. I don't suppose you could just quickly remind the audience exactly what the company does, its sort of key USPs and the secular growth drivers behind the business.
Absolutely. And I think one interesting aspect of both how Will and I are going to be describing the business is the transformative step with the partnership that we announced with StreamLabs. So, realistically, for everybody out there, water intelligence uses technology to pinpoint water leaks. So, a minimally invasive approach to infrastructure is really the key value proposition. So, as plumbers would break a wall or people would dig up the street, we use acoustic and infrared to pinpoint where the leak is and then we arthroscopically fix it, almost akin to the revolution in healthcare. But see, with the interesting dimension to now what we call the final piece of our puzzle, the StreamLabs deal allows us to take a preventive maintenance approach in addition to the minimally invasive leak detection and repair. So now with the technology investments we made and everything we've always done, as will underscore, what we can do is first monitor leaks. We can then get the data from the customer care. We can use our technology to pinpoint exactly where the leaks are and repair them. We actually then have the data to do aftercare in a subscription model. And then we can even send some suggestions to them for e-commerce around the smart home. So in a way, we can track the entire customer journey for water and the smart home by the technology investment we made and just really our skills. And again, we have the professional skills better than anybody else to pinpoint and remediate the leaks. That sets this bundle of package of solutions now sets us apart from everybody in the marketplace.
Yeah, and you've got national coverage, haven't you? I think is probably a pretty important one, unlike most of your sort of like more state orientated competitors. But let's just run through a quick example. Let's just assume, for instance, I've got a large house out in Dallas and I've got a big swimming pool. In terms of that preventative maintenance piece, Patrick, can water intelligence now give me indication of predicting when I need to service my parts and my equipment, my water pump, and all this sort of stuff to stop leaks? Is that what we're doing in the preventative part of that
Well, so
solution?
so so for that, let me turn it over to Will because as CEO of American League with the headquarters in Dallas, he has one of those big old houses in Dallas around which we're implementing the technology. So, Will, if you don't mind, please, absolutely, kind of how does it all work?
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. No, Paul, you're exactly right. So this gives us opportunities to monitor the success of the plumbing system or be aware of any issues that may arise while we're not there. But what we're noticing is that there's a high demand for, almost taking on a consultant type relationship with our clients, whether that be residential clients, dealing directly with the homeowner, or even in the commercial space working with property management companies or anyone that oversees commercial properties to be able to monitor the success of that plumbing system. And the industry is looking for solutions that go beyond just monitoring while we're not there, but also offering routine visits, whether that be quarterly, biannually, annually, to inspect the plumbing system and determine if there's any issues that may arise. One of the huge advantages of something like a StreamLabs device, a water monitoring device, is it prevents catastrophic loss. So, you're on vacation for a week and your water heater starts leaking and you don't know it. You come home and there's 2 inches of water in your home and you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. Huge benefit there. Something that, the consumers are very interested in having a device that can deal with that. And when a StreamLabs device indicates there's an issue on the plumbing system, it reduces that extent of that damage, but you're still going to have some leakage. So what we're finding is through routine visits to the home or to the property, we can even get further ahead of some of those things because we'll notice things and we'll be able to put into our Salesforce system, how old is the water heater? Is it going to be susceptible to needing to be replaced within the next 2 to 3 years based on its age and its life expectancy? Where are there other trouble areas throughout the home that we need to be aware of? But then we even have other technologies like our Leak View technology that we can do a quick assessment on the swimming pool. A lot of homes, have automatic filling devices on the pool, so that if there was a leak on the pool, a homeowner wouldn't even necessarily know about that until maybe 2 or 3 billing cycles where they're receiving a high water bill. And then they've got to go through the painful exercise of, is that my irrigation system? Was that my swimming pool? Is that my home? Let me hire American Leak Detection. They can come out, they can kind of do an assessment. We're already going to be there on a regular basis through this kind of subscription model maintenance plan that we're putting together to help people get ahead of the problem.
And how important is it? How important is it to win the insurance company business to have this end-to-end service and that sort of you got 46 states, this sort of nationwide coverage?
Mm-hmm. Well, our insurance partners are very excited about this solution because it just strictly helps them mitigate that potential for catastrophic loss, but even given a consistent assessment of the risk profile of that property throughout the entire policy or range of the policy throughout that whole year. So yeah, they're very excited about us. Just one thing that's so key about these homes and these properties, and as they become more and more complex, homeowners don't know and understand all the idiosyncrasies involved with their property and all the different complexities with relation to water. So with us coming on site on a regular basis, it gives them an opportunity to really get ahead of anything that might happen and save them a considerable amount of money, whether that be in restoration cost or just the cost of excess water usage. We're really noticing that more with our commercial clients. Some of these clients are spending an exorbitant amount of water, and a lot of that is due to wastage. And they're realizing that, as water gets more and more expensive, and with inflationary increases on everything else, everyone's hypersensitive to how can I control my overall costs? And we give these businesses solutions to be able to manage that water and become a consultant for them. Probably the most exciting thing for us, Paul, Pat kind of alluded to it, is that this is not anything new for American Leak Detection. And I think that's what's so exciting for us is we're just doing what we've always done. We're just doing it on a regular basis. And we're able to provide solutions now, not just to people who have a leak, but to people who are going to have a leak or going to have a water event at some point, helping them deal with those things on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And maybe, really for the commercial clients, just overall saving them a considerable amount of money because they don't know where else to turn. I was personally very surprised by that. But you know what? I've been in the industry my entire life. It's second nature to me. I'm realizing it's not second nature to everybody. And they really need someone who knows and understands this business and how to deal with water and water loss to be involved with them and actually be a consultant to them. It's very exciting.
And Paul, I just want to add to your initial point early on that we have a nationwide footprint. So to the extent that we have an installed base of customers, so not only insurance companies, but we go to 200,000 homes, we go to strip malls, we go to buildings, we have a municipal business. In all of those touch points, we can introduce this end-to-end customer care. And so for us, it's the scalability of our installed base that's exciting. It allows us to be more profitable, generate more sales, and also connect with the network. And that's where all of the work that this company has done over the last, I would say, 30, 40 years in building a reputation for the highest level of customer care, that's where it really comes into play. So while you have, product companies out there that don't have a service network and are just hoping that the customer doesn't call, a lot of times it's like a warranty, or you have services people out there that don't have products and then they have to figure out what's the best product. We have it all under one house.
Yeah.
And that is really the scalability of our model.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm representative, I mean, I know where a tap is and I know where the stopcock is, but I could do with an end-to-end service, that's for sure. Okay, let's move to the year-to-date trading, Patrick. I don't suppose you could just say a few words of sort of like that, particularly that step change between the first 3 months and the big lift in April, and just the performance of the business so far on the sort of top line and the EBITDA.
Well, I mean, as you're saying, we had an outstanding April. We still had a solid first quarter, but do we expect the momentum of April to continue through the rest of the year? So I think in terms of headlines, I would say the nice thing that Will and I are doing is in terms of integrating StreamLabs, meaning product sales, aftercare, meaning more sales of services. We expect the go forward to be a lot more like April and to build on that solid track record. So in a way, we're confident. And again, we recognize it's a lot of hard work. We've spent a lot of time with our Chubb and StreamLabs partners, integrating operations, getting dashboards, doing all the right things because high quality is the important part. But to the extent now we reap the value of that relationship and we begin to really lay out announcements over the subsequent year, I think it'll be very exciting for investors.
Yeah. And what was behind that big jump in April? Was there any one-offs, or is it really just a sort of step change in demand because of the partnership with StreamLabs plus the preventative maintenance piece?
No, I think a couple of things. During the first quarter, if you remember, there was a lot of market volatility. So in terms of consumer choices of what they're doing, sometimes people will put off a choice to the second quarter, et cetera. So to the extent you saw this in the marketplace in the US, some of it could be as simple as that, right? And the second aspect in terms of operationally, remember, we were integrating StreamLabs Chubb and we were having a lot of just simple block and tackling going on. So now that that's done, the focus is really on, okay, the market is tailwinds are headed in our direction. We've actually integrated a great partnership. Let's focus on executing the plan.
Okay, good. And then just more broadly, Will, in terms of sort of the insurers, how many insurers does the actual business look after now in terms that sort of over the business in the US?
Sorry, what was that last part again?
How many insurers does the company look after, compared to competition? I mean, you have relationships with.
Well, yeah, as we kind of said before on some of these calls, yeah, when we have relationships with I think it's top 22 insurance companies in the U.S., and we're constantly bringing on new carriers, working through, establishing relationships with them. All of that is leveraged by our national footprint, and then all that does is continue to open up more opportunities to be able to promote this preventative maintenance program that we're offering out to these different carriers. Yeah. And the reception from them is overwhelmingly positive. Really, it's the key in that preventative maintenance solution and that subscription model that we're presenting to their clients. And they want us to present that option to them because that mitigates the risk on that property. And so a lot of those kind of whatever they're working on in the background and how they can kind of motivate their homeowners to move forward with a solution like this is something that they're working on internally, but it certainly doesn't cannibalize off the relationship that we already have with them and executing those claims that exist. They just want to see how much can we reduce that claim volume by offering the preventative maintenance solution as well, on top of what we're already doing.
So you think, yes, so effectively Water Intelligence is a good position then to win market share, given they've got the best sort of like end-to-end solution.
End-to-end solution and national coverage. Those are our two biggest drivers to winning the marketplace, is being able to offer that solution throughout the entire country. Not just the leak detection solution, but also the repair solution, the installation of devices, and then obviously the reoccurring visits to kind of do that preventative maintenance approach. That really, positions us in the front of the marketplace for sure.
Brilliant. So just to finish off there, Patrick, and I suppose you've got any sort of closing remarks, perhaps mention about the sort of where the progress is on the US listing and how you see the business over the next sort of like, for the rest of the year, the next 8 months in terms of demand and sort of like new initiatives.
Well, first of all, and thank you for the time, Paul, and to the whole audience for spending a little time getting to know more about our company. So as you're saying, we did talk previously about exploring a NASDAQ listing. Really, what we are trying to do is open up access, more access channels. So Will and I appeared at a Planet Microcap conference in Las Vegas, filled with small and medium-sized fund managers, et cetera. We had a really warm reception. People liked the platform and the package of solutions that we have. It's actually fitting a unique analyst coverage that's appearing in the US called Technology-Enabled Services. So for us, we're in the right position at the right time. We were able to actually have a good appearance there, and we have a bunch of follow-up meetings with the demand side call from the US. So from that standpoint, mission achieved in terms of beginning a process to allow more people the opportunity to participate in our journey. Now, to the extent as we roll forward, we continue to execute our plan, then there are so many different optionalities that appear in front of us. So I do think the importance of the AIM market on the UK side, our investors that have supported us over the years, fantastic. To the extent that we give more access to US holders that want to participate in this technology-driven story, nice complementarity. So that's what we expect to talk more to as we roll forward in the year.
Brilliant. Okay, well, big congrats, gents, on the positive year-to-date trading update. I guess we've probably got the prelims or the finals coming up next month. Is that correct?
Yeah. So again, we have the half-year reporting, and then, but just really for us, day to day, week to week, month to month, we're at it being competitive.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks again, guys. Congrats, and look forward in touching base over the next month or so.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Paul.